Welcome to episode 3 of our podcast, The Movieslingers, starring.
Nuan and Dinu.
Yeah. So I think this week, for this episode, we'll be talking about The Flash. I think last week, after our second episode, after we recorded our second episode, we went and watched The Flash. So I guess. Where shall we start?
Let's start, right? I mean, let's talk about the movie. Let's talk about what we liked about the movie first, right? What about you? What did you like about it?
The jokes really landed.
Yeah.
I think Ezra was funny as hell. I think he was, way more funnier than Justice League. Yeah, Ezra Miller, who played the Flash, was way more, I guess, funnier in this than in the Justice League movies.
Right.
Even in the 4-hour cut, I didn't find much, of his,
Ezra is really the best part, I think.
Yeah.
It's too bad they are sort of cancelled because of their behavior, but Ezra is a really good actor, and you can see their talent. They're good at the emotional stuff and the jokes, like you said. I was laughing at all the jokes. Whenever it's Ezra playing the two Barrys, it's really funny, and even like the more dramatic moments, the emotional moments, it's all hitting really well.
Yeah.
So, well done, Ezra, right?
Yeah.
Hope they get their personal stuff sorted out. Because, I mean, it could have been a good career, but it looks like it has gone down. But this shows that they're still good. So, okay, Ezra is good.
Ezra is good.
Right? The jokes are good.
Yeah.
I know some people complained about the baby saving scene. I loved it. I thought it was funny. I mean, it was sort of a ripoff of the Quicksilver scene from the X-Men movie.
Yeah.
He's going around saving people.
I love that when this film was out, that people are making a meme about Ezra Miller holding babies. Well, because of his real life.
In his personal life, there have been things happening. But if you just look at the movie itself, I thought it was pretty funny, and Barry has to he has to eat stuff to keep up his energy, which I thought was cool. I wish they carried that through the rest of the movie.
Exactly.
They kind of forgot about it. But that was cool because it's sort of like in slow motion, and he's going around eating stuff, candy bars and
tacos. And
so that was really funny.
Yeah.
What else did you like?
So I think what we're starting off with the first scene, right? I think that's when Ben Affleck
shows up.
Batman, what else was good? I think
Wonder Woman pops up. For a little bit.
Yeah.
That was cute.
That was cute. Yeah, but Ben Affleck's smile kind of freaked me out a bit with the mask. Because I was like, wait, did they do something?
Henry Cavill?
Yeah, with Justice League 2017. No, because it almost looked like...
I think it's weird because you don't see Batman smile like that.
Yeah.
And it's funny because he has the lasso on him. So
it's not like a smirk, it's like a full-on laugh.
But he sort of has a thing for Diana.
Yeah.
So she shows up and he's being all like... So I thought that worked.
Yeah.
And Ben Affleck, I thought was good in that scene where he's giving advice to Barry. Like Barry says that he can go back in time and he can change things. And Ben Affleck is like, no, you probably shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
And then Barry asks him to come with him or something, right?
Yeah.
And he says, this line does get me. Yeah. He says, not this time, kid, maybe next time.
Yes.
And that was like, man, that hits me in the
I think this was when Barry Allen was asking Bruce Wayne, shall we hang out, right?
Shall we hang out? Yeah, something like that. Something like that.
Yeah.
And that's the last line he gives.
But interestingly, what I liked about that was it kind of showed this kind of father-son relationship going on, this mentor-student kind of thing. So that was nice. And
you already saw that in
Justice League, a bit of it. But
now it's kind of
grown into something else. Yeah. Usually, if this was made by Marvel, it will take them 5-10 films to come to that point. But we came to this. So I mean,
it was nice to see that they are still friends.
Yeah.
Post Justice League, they are
Yeah.
continuing to be, and even Alfred is there for a little bit. He
Yeah.
calls Barry to come help
And
when the chase scene is happening.
It was a nice little scene. So and then afterwards, obviously, Barry Allen is thinking whether he should go back in time to prevent the tragedy that caused him to get his powers in the first place. And
no. The death of his mother.
Yeah. Which then
and his father is also going to prison, so
and
he has
also
to,
there's a hearing also happening soon in the movie. So
so he goes back in time, changes something, and like the butterfly effect and all that happens, and the timeline changes, and then you have a universe where he's sort of in the past, right?
Yeah.
His mother is alive, but you have another Barry Allen.
Yeah, an 18-year-old Barry Allen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like seeing that the older Barry realizes how annoying the younger Barry is. That was funny.
Yeah.
Like he realizes, okay, this guy is, he's very obnoxious, and
it's kind of like what everyone goes through when you look back into some of the things that
when you look
did.
back at your Facebook memories and you realize how cringe you were. That's what that was. So that was good, right?
Yeah. And I think shall we really talk about the bad things though?
We'll get to it.
Yeah.
So up to now it's pretty good.
Good, yeah.
Right? And then so obviously Zod shows up.
Yes, because of the
so
whole
it's
time.
Like, I think
it's a consequence of the whole time traveling thing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So it's 2013, I guess, the year, and Zod shows up. So and our older Barry. He has a plan to get the younger Barry his powers.
Yeah.
But in the course of doing that, he loses his powers. And actually, there was some bunch of really cool sequences where he's using his powers like to phase through
walls. Yes.
Through walls, and then if he's not wearing the suit, he loses his clothes.
Yes.
So there's a lot of humor happening. And the younger Barry still can't control his powers.
And also, like before all of this, I think when Zod kind of shows up, Barry Allen wants to find out where the Justice League is.
Yeah. And they're not around.
They're not around.
Because they haven't been formed yet.
I mean...
and he calls Aquaman's father, and there is no Aquaman. So there is no Aquaman in this timeline.
Yeah.
Diana is not around. You can't find her.
Yeah, you can't find her. Victor Stone is still playing football for Gotham High School.
So he has to find somebody to really help him stop Zod.
Yeah.
And so he goes looking for Bruce.
Yeah, interestingly, in like this universe, in this parallel timeline, Batman exists out of all the people. So that's where I think, go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead.
So obviously now we know that there's a Batman. I mean, throughout, I guess, towards the second act of the movie, we find out that there's a Batman that exists in this paradox. And so we... Obviously, both of the Barry Allens go to the Wayne Manor, and the Wayne Manor looks totally messed up, cobwebs all over, vines crawling on walls.
And that's what happens when you don't have an Alfred. Bruce doesn't know.
And we find out that, it's not Ben Affleck's Batman, it's Michael Keaton's Batman.
Surprise.
Surprise. I mean, it's not really a surprise because it's been on the teaser trailers and all of it.
I mean, he was a big part of the marketing behind it.
Yeah. But he's not the same Bruce Wayne as he used to be. He's a bit more hippie, and he's drawing art, and he makes spaghetti. And when I talk about spaghetti, there's an interesting conversation between Bruce Wayne and both the Barry Allens about the timelines. When you go back in time and when you try to change things. Like timelines are like spaghetti. It's like messed over, and
I have no idea what they were talking about, but I'll go with it.
The bolognese is like the coins. I really, it was really too much to like. But
no, it's just a lot of science mumbo jumbo.
It's
fine. I mean, every time travel movie has it.
Yeah,
you just kind of have to go. They
tried to like bring spaghetti bolognese and try to explain it, which they made it a bit more confusing. In a way, I don't know what the sauce was for. I forgot that whole explanation, but
so they got Batman.
Yeah,
and they think now, okay, we have to find Superman.
Yes.
Is the next part. So they ask Batman to come help.
Yeah.
And like they say in the pitch meeting, he says no for about 2.5 minutes. And then he says yes.
Yes, yeah.
Of course he's gonna say yes. Like, come on.
No, I think he felt that this was like real serious because while this was all going on, Zod was threatening to take over Earth and make it into a new Krypton like in Man of Steel. And they're trying to find out where Superman is, if there was any extraterrestrial, like any alien sort of activity going on Earth, or in Kansas, which never happened.
So he has been the Kryptonian who came to Earth has been captured by Russian separatists. It's never the Russian military. They never say the military. It's always some
a bit
kind
controversial.
It's always some separatists.
It's always
How on earth are these separatists getting all this tech and managing to? And it's also, just they don't want to say it's the Russians, you know.
So basically, they find out there's a Kryptonian, like as Nuwan was saying, with some Russian separatists or maybe some military group or whatever it is.
They did the same thing in one of the Fast and Furious movies. Like there's a military base. There's a military base. It's in Russia, but they're not Russian military. They're Russian separatists. It's too sensitive. They don't want to.
So obviously they crash into this base.
And there's a really cool Batman fight scene.
Yes,
which I really like that scene.
Yeah.
And I also like that one of the Barrys is projectile vomiting in that scene while Batman is just totally kicking ass.
But interestingly in this, I felt like Michael Keaton's Batman's fighting style was a bit more mobile than
it used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Compared to what?
Like, because if you take Christopher Nolan's Batman, he was a bit more like stiff. I guess maybe because of the suit and mobility. But even in Tim Burton's also, I felt like most of the time he just gave punches and like a lot of kick. Yeah.
Back then they didn't have the stunt. The martial arts guys who were doing. So, I mean, in the old movies, it was fine. But obviously here,
they had to
bring it up, right? So it's a much more modern fight.
Yeah.
But I do feel like the way, I mean, it's obviously not Michael Keaton. It's obviously some stunt guy, some martial arts expert.
He's too old to do those kind of moves.
So whoever was in the suit, I still like that the way they were moving. They were moving sort of like the Michael Keaton Batman used to move a little bit, but faster and more, a lot more
flexible in a way.
A more Arkham Knight, video game type fight, right?
Yeah.
So that was really cool. And I love that scene where they have to check the weight, measure the weight for the elevator. And he pulls out this ruler. And I thought,
he pulls out the measuring tape.
Yeah. And I love that he had that in his utility belt. Of course, because that seems so.
What one is like talking about is this is after they go into the vault and they find out it's
Supergirl. It's Kara.
Yeah, I was going to say Superwoman. Sorry. But and during the escape scene only, the interesting part is when they're going to escape from the base, Michael Keaton pulls up a measuring tape, which is such like a dad thing.
Yeah.
That's a nice little dad joke I felt they pulled.
I felt like, okay, let's talk about Michael Keaton because this is something that really kind of annoyed me about the movie. Now, I love that measuring tape thing. Yeah. Because that feels like something he would do.
Yeah.
But I feel like a big part of the movie, Michael Keaton is just in a bat suit. I feel like it's not really the Tim Burton Batman, right? Because the Tim Burton Batman is a little weird.
Yeah.
And I feel like Michael Keaton wasn't giving the same performance.
Yeah, it's not the same.
I mean, obviously he's giving all his favorite lines, right? He's saying, okay, you want to get nuts, let's get nuts. But it just seems like such a nostalgia bait.
There wasn't any weight behind it.
Yeah, because if you remember the Tim Burton movie, the first movie, he's saying that to Jack Nicholson's joke.
Yeah. And he's pissed off.
And he's pissed off, and you can tell like there's a screw loose in Bruce. Right?
Yeah.
and
part
there's
of his
something wrong with him. There's
up.
something wrong with him.
Yeah.
And in those Tim Burton films, Bruce was sort of like a recluse. He was sort of hiding in his mansion.
Yeah.
Especially in the first movie, nobody even knows what he looks like, really.
Yeah.
He hasn't come down to the city in a while. So he's this lonely guy in this mansion.
And he has this very noir sense in him, right? Like, he knows he's flawed, and he doesn't show up in like public places as like the other Batman in other movies.
And it's very much a Tim Burton thing, because if you watch something like Edward Scissorhands, it's also like this weird guy in a mansion on the top of the hill. People don't know what he is. You know, it's that kind of character. It's a very Tim Burton thing. And I feel like Michael Keaton in The Flash wasn't Tim Burton enough. That's my main complaint about Michael, and because that was one of the main reasons I went to watch the movie, because him coming back. And so for me it was a bit disappointing. I wish there were more stuff like the measuring ruler.
I think what I was kind of expecting was not this. I was expecting him to be like the Dark Knight Returns Batman, where he like lost Salford and he's kind of like
sad
old man Batman.
He doesn't seem that sad either.
He looks like so like free, like he's like a hippie who just went to like Coachella and
and he says that there's no more crime in Gotham. He's fixed everything, so he's just chilling. That's so weird to me. I feel like that's wrong.
No? It feels very utopian when you say Gotham has its crime fix.
And he's sort of retired, like, still there, and he's all chilling in his mansion. The only thing that's weird about him is he's grown his hair and his beard, which is not weird enough, right? But again, like, not having a Gotham that's crime free, and also like they show a lot of this Batman in broad daylight, and I feel like that's such a weird thing for me to see. I know it sounds like a nitpick, but that is so weird for me. But in that scene where they're rescuing Supergirl, that's in an underground base, and it's dark. It's dark, so it looks really cool.
It fits his
that scene where he's taking out the Russian separatists, it looks really cool because he's hiding in the shadows, he's dropping down from above, throwing batarangs. That scene is really cool. And I wish there was more of that. And then I think we are now getting to the second half of the movie where I felt like things really go down the drain, because up to now I like most of it.
Yes, exactly.
The only issue is that Michael Keaton thing.
I would agree. Even the audience in the cinema hall we were in were kind of like enjoying that.
I think a lot of people were enjoying up to that point. And then you see Supergirl come out and she's kicking ass, beating out the Russians. And after that point, I feel like it kind of because this whole Supergirl Zod story comes in, right? And I feel like that part was a bit weak.
Yes, it was,
because they don't go far into that story.
You could say not only plot wise, even visually wise, it was really weak. Like,
but plot wise, I mean, here's the thing. Now, I've watched Man of Steel, so I know you've watched it. We like that movie, so we are very familiar with that plot line. But I'm just wondering, the regular person, the average person who doesn't watch all of these
would
films,
enjoy this.
Would they know what's going on? Would they know why Zod is after Kara? Why the whole codex and the DNA thing? Do they know all this stuff? Do they remember it? Because
they don't.
I don't think a majority of people love Man of Steel. It's a very... I mean, the Snyder fans obviously love it. But, I feel like that's not a general audience kind of movie.
Yes, that's true.
So I'm wondering how many people understand what's going on.
What was the codex and
even me who knew what was going on, even I felt like it was a bit weak. I mean, the whole conflict with Zod.
I think they shouldn't have included the codex part. They could have focused more on the aspect that Kal-El died.
Maybe.
And they could have built it more into it. Because I felt that would have kind of related with the audience. Because everyone knows Superman. And now Superman in this universe is dead.
So and also, we never see Kara with Kal-El. So we never know what her connection to her cousin is. Like, I mean, they're related. But we never, it's not like we see them together, a young Kal-El, like, something, we don't see that. We don't see any connection. So when they say Kal-El is dead, like, I mean, I don't really feel like Supergirl, I mean, she's upset. But it doesn't hit me.
Yeah.
You know, because we never see them together.
The intensity I felt was not enough. Right?
We never see their relationship.
Yeah.
So it kind of like it feels a bit hollow.
Yeah.
And
also the thing that annoyed me was that so we are speaking about this third act where Zod comes to Earth.
Yeah, they're fighting.
And the army also comes in. There's this battle going on, and Flash and both the Flashes come in. I think Flash already has his power, right, after the whole
because they do this thing with this contraption at the Batcave to get his powers back.
Yeah,
and Supergirl also helps a bit.
Yeah.
Supergirl also just like Michael Keaton's Batman says, I don't want to help, and goes away, and then comes back. Okay, I'm helping.
Let's form our Justice League.
All of that stuff, right, feels really kind of thrown
goofy,
in.
And
there should
cheesy,
be more. There should be more to that decision to come help.
Yeah.
You know. I mean, and because she has no reason to like humans.
Yeah.
Humans have not treated her well.
Exactly.
So Zod is actually her people.
You know about that though, I was expecting her to go full on crazy like in Justice League where when Superman was reborn again after the whole thing, I was expecting a little of that to happen because it felt like it was going there, but then it didn't. And like
you mean she was gonna hurt humans?
Yeah, like you know, if you remember in Justice League when Henry Cavill comes back and he starts like going against the Justice League, a bit nuts. Yeah. So I felt like there was a scene where it was going to lead towards that.
But she does beat up the terrorists,
the
Russian guys.
I was expecting to build it up from there because she still doesn't like understand about what Earth is and all.
I mean, she doesn't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
but then the film just like within like a snap, they just like bring her back.
I think she decides to help them just because Barry saved her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but
it's still not a convincing.
I mean, they came to save her for actually selfish reasons as well, because to help them fight Zod, right? It's not like they came to help her because they cared about. It was more like they needed somebody to help them. So, I mean, I don't know. It just feels a little underdeveloped.
Not written well in the
conflict with Zod. Why Supergirl is helping them. I mean, she sees Zod attack the humans. Like, she goes to see Zod, right? And she sees Zod start to attack the humans, and then she goes back. She says, "Okay," and then she's like, "Okay, I want to help you guys."
Like, what? Like,
why?
That's the thing. That's another plot hole.
Zod, doesn't Zod see her in that scene?
I think they did, right? I think
why doesn't he follow her?
No, because there was a scene. There was a close up where
he looks at her, right?
And then nothing ever. I thought he would like jump and go after her and like a whole chase sequence. Nope, that didn't happen. So that was like another wasted opportunity in this film.
I feel like the whole Zod thing was kind of shoehorned in. Because they wanted a recognizable villain. Maybe they should have had a Flash villain, instead of Zod.
They could have brought in Reverse Flash. I wanted a Reverse Flash in this film.
Or some kind of other Flash villain.
Like Professor Zoom or Savita. Or
the Gorilla Grodd?
Gorilla Zod, right?
Gorilla Grodd.
Grodd. Sorry.
One of those villains,
Yeah.
Because, like we said earlier, I think the Flash parts are the best parts.
Yes.
And if you had a Flash villain, you could have just focused on that.
Yeah.
Instead of all this other stuff.
But that's where I felt in this film the third act kind of flopped, because one was the battle scenes felt really empty.
It's a lot of CGI armies fighting. And
the battlefield really feels empty. Like
it's full of people, but
it still feels empty.
It feels empty. It feels like they're not real people, right?
So like in this third act, when obviously our heroes come to the battlefield, there's sort of an interesting sequence with both the Flashes. They kind of team up and they start beating up. That was a bit interesting.
Again, the Flashes are cool. And then you have Michael Keaton's Batman walking around in broad daylight. It's so weird, right? It's like, and I feel like they could have easily kind of adjusted the lighting a bit, made it a bit darker.
Maybe they could have made the weather like. Maybe it could have been like raining
or a storm.
It would have been interesting.
Or have it at night, maybe.
I felt if it was raining,
Yeah.
And if Zod and Supergirl were fighting, it would have been interesting.
Yeah.
It would have been more intense.
Yeah, I mean, like, I know that this sounds very simple.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously hard when you're actually filming it.
Yeah.
But adding rain
makes
things look cooler than they are.
Because the broad daylight battlefield for me in the third act was really bad.
And I know that's the time of day in Man of Steel.
Yeah.
But why? I mean, they change all of these other things.
But see,
you can set it at night.
Yeah, but if you remember in Man of Steel, even though it was day,
it looked cool.
It looked cooler.
I mean,
I don't know.
I think that was one that was because it was not on a green screen.
Yeah.
They were on a location.
Yeah, the actual location.
And there were extras. The army guys in Man of Steel are probably extras, the tanks and everything.
Yeah.
So it's a really caught on film kind of thing. Whereas in The Flash, it feels like they're on a green screen somewhere.
Yeah. Shot with a really high resolution camera instead of film. So,
and the weird symmetrical thing that drives me nuts, man. Like, it's this. I mean, okay, again, this might sound like a pet peeve, like a weird nitpick kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But usually when filmmakers, when they shoot something that has a horizon, they shoot it with the horizon at the top or the bottom.
Yeah.
Like in Fabelmans, the young Steven Spielberg learns this.
Yeah.
And I don't know, have you seen that movie?
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, that's a movie everyone has to watch. So it's the story of young Steven Spielberg. I know we are going off on a tangent here, but in that movie, he gets advice from one of his
mentors?
Not a mentor, but like somebody he looks up to.
Yeah.
I won't say who it is or what's. Yeah. But basically, what that person says is, when the horizon's at the top, it looks interesting.
Yeah.
When the horizon's at the bottom, it looks interesting.
Yeah.
When the horizon's in the middle, it looks boring as shit.
Yeah.
His exact words.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's the big takeaway Spielberg gets.
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg, probably the best living director right now. That's what he gets out of it. And a lot of filmmakers actually do know this.
Yeah.
And that's why, in this type of movie, everyone knows how to shoot those scenes. And yet in The Flash, you see these, the horizon in the desert is right in the middle. And it's a very symmetrical looking shot. And it's very ugly to look at.
Yeah, I think that's also the reason why the battlefield looks empty.
Yeah.
Because you can actually see what's going on behind the battlefield.
It's this odd framing. And obviously the CGI is not really good as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that I can forgive that, but when the framing is off, I know that they didn't care.
Yeah.
They did not care. Because the CGI can go bad for a number of reasons, right?
Yeah.
It could be lack of time, or lack of budget, or whatever reason.
I have something to say about that, but
go ahead. Yeah.
No, okay, so I want to talk about this bad third act thing, because one thing what disturbed me was in the fight scene between General Zod and Supergirl.
Yeah.
Supergirl always gets killed by a needle.
Zod's blade,
which is it looks like a COVID-19 vaccine.
Yeah, I mean, it's not kryptonite, right? I'm like, does that really kill her? And she's on Earth, so she should be very strong.
Strong,
right?
exactly.
She should be like Superman strength, right?
Yeah, exactly. And also, if I remember in Man of Steel, if Superman, if Superman is in Krypton, that's when he's weak.
Yeah, because when he goes up into the spaceship, where the sun's radiation is not there, the atmosphere is different, he's weak, and you can stab him and you can.
Yeah,
kill
while
him.
I was watching this scene, I thought, okay, maybe because this is Kryptonian metal that you can eat, but then it still didn't make sense for me, and I was like, this is kind of dumb. There's no. I thought eventually while they're fighting, mistakenly the blade gets pulled off and we see Kryptonian juice or something like that, but nothing. There was nothing going on.
Let's just say it's Kryptonian metal. I mean, it probably is. It is, but it just feels like. But it feels like even Kryptonian metal shouldn't be able to hurt Supergirl on Earth, because they are in our atmosphere. They are stronger.
Yeah,
and I don't think that would work. And you even see Keaton in the Batwing going around
flying around,
blowing up Kryptonian ships, and I'm like, so is he killing these people? Like, but can he kill them because they're Kryptonians, right? They're Kryptonians in our atmosphere.
Yeah.
Can he kill them?
No, you can't.
You can't kill them with a bomb, right?
You
can't.
can't.
I mean, they're supposed to be. I mean, they're like Superman, right?
Yeah.
All of them are like Superman.
I think that's why they're doing this whole time traveling thing. Whenever Keaton there's this scene where Keaton takes his Batwing and he crashes into the Kryptonian ship and he dies, and then they're like, oh no, this happened, and they do that little time traveling thing again. And I think while they're doing that, that's where things sort of kind of got interesting.
Because you see the other Barry kind of, he gets obsessed with saving everyone he loves. And that's where I think the movie kind of gets back into gear. Because gets back to the main story, because the whole thing is about Barry going and changing things. And how that can lead to all kinds of paradoxes and all
the
this
alternative timelines.
So there it gets kind of interesting again, and you realize that the villain is sort of Barry. One of the villains is Barry, like a future Barry.
Future Barry who's done this like many times and like...
he's not even recognizable in that point. That was interesting. That was cool. And then you kind of... At this point, you see like what they call the multiverse.
Yes, the Elseworlds kind of clashing.
And you see different DC movie and TV and all kinds of universes kind of clashing. And you see, okay, this part kind of really annoyed me in a way.
Same here.
Because you start to see like Christopher Reeve. And here's the thing, right? If they showed footage of Christopher Reeve from an older movie, like
it would have been interesting.
I would feel like that would have been fine. But this looked like
CGI
footage that was used to make a CGI version of him appear in a place that he never appeared in.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of these. I'm speaking of. I know I'm gonna go out of subject, but there was a time in YouTube where people used to make these battles between Marvel and DC heroes with CGI characters. They can you remember there was fan-made trailers and stuff. It kind of felt that whole entire sequence felt like it.
It feels like somebody used deep fake AI tech to analyze, to kind of do, how they did with Midjourney, where people mix up things that didn't
type
happen.
In a prompt and
what if Wes Anderson directed
Star Wars?
That kind of thing, right? It has that feel, and it feels like you have this Christopher Reeve weird CGI Christopher Reeve
thing,
kind of appear, and the original Supergirl is also there. And I feel like that feels off. It feels a bit weird. And
it didn't feel good at all.
I feel like the tribute they did in Man of Steel was much better.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I remember that scene.
You see Henry Cavill's face for like 2 seconds change into... that was done much better, I think. This feels like... it is. And here's the thing, right? Somebody pointed out to me that the whole theme of The Flash is letting go of your past.
Exactly.
Right? Because all these problems are happening because Flash is not ready to let go of his mother. And the lesson he learns is that this has happened. It's a canon event. And he has to let her go because if she doesn't die, he doesn't grow into the hero. All of this affects him. That's what Bruce even tells him in the beginning, right?
You need to move on, and those are the things that make you
who you are, and he has to kind of accept it. And in a movie where you have to kind of accept your mistakes and your past and kind of let it go, they are bringing back dead actors to life through CGI, which
and they brought the old I think George Reeves Superman from like the 30s or 20s back.
So somebody was making a joke. They should have put Ben Affleck as George Reeves because Ben Affleck played George Reeves. That was funny. So I but anyway, that's just a joke. And then you see other stuff, right? You see Nicolas Cage.
There we go.
When I saw that, when I saw the giant spider show up, I knew, okay, this is Nicolas Cage showing up. So they kind of... now, when I first saw Nicolas Cage, I thought he was CGI. But apparently he shot
No.
a part of it. He shot a, which I don't get. I don't understand because
are you saying in this film?
in this film,
No way.
they
Well,
said that
I knew-
that's actually Nicolas Cage. But I think what they did was they took him and they de-aged him.
Okay.
Because I think their whole idea is to make it look like the Tim Burton film happened.
Uh-huh.
So it's the late 90s and he has to be young. And I'm like, why does he need to be young? Why can't he just look like Nicolas Cage right now?
Because we were actually having this conversation after the movie, and I was like,
his face looks so off.
And I was telling to Nuwan when after we watched the movie and on our way home, like, why couldn't they just bring Nicolas Cage being Clark Kent in the farm? I felt would have done a better tribute in that sense, saying that in that universe he went through whatever stuff he went through, and now he's settled in, and he's no longer Superman, but he's himself.
I think they wanted to show like the scene from the Tim Burton film, him fighting the giant spider, because the giant spider, like I think John Peters is his name. He had this weird thing about spiders. He wanted Nicolas Cage Superman to fight a spider. So I think that's why that scene is there. I'm sure that's probably why Kevin Smith loves this movie, because he wrote that script.
Okay. Wait, he wrote the script for this film?
No, he wrote the script for the Tim Burton
that
thing.
film.
That never happened.
So
that's why I think Kevin Smith is defending The Flash.
All of a sudden.
But I feel like, look, I get why Nicolas Cage has to look young, because they are trying to make it look like the movie from the late 90s actually happened. But I feel like the CGI on his face,
was bad,
the CGI makes it look, kind of ruins the moment. I feel like I don't mind if Nicolas Cage looks his real age.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't mind. And I know, okay, he's Kryptonian, he doesn't age, but come on, man, it's Nicolas Cage. Don't ruin his face with CGI. Just show him.
That's the thing.
That's a weird thing I have about that. So I should have loved that scene. That
exactly.
Scene, I should have. I heard about it and I was like, that's a scene where I would have clapped and gotten up off of my seat. Standing ovation. But I saw his face and it looked CGI.
I actually sat back. I was like, wait, what? Like, I was actually cleaning my glasses, also trying to see what it was.
Because his face looked so fake. So I don't actually believe that they shot with him. Until he says he shot the scene. I don't believe them. I don't believe the director of this movie. I also
felt like when they were showing that scene, like, because I mean this Tim Burton Superman film, which was shot in the 90s, because 90s movies had like a texture. In
it didn't look like
it didn't look. Movie. It looked like straight. It looked like something made out from Blender or some other 3D software, and like they just put it out there.
It looks like any other Marvel DC movie coming out with a lot of CGI. That's not Tim Burton at all.
No, at all. I think that's a problem also. I would say we had with Michael Keaton's Batman, because his scenes felt very clean.
And even he's not fighting at night. He belongs in Gotham at night.
In that
aesthetic world.
Yeah.
And also like and I thought another thing was that, okay, so they are bringing Christopher Reeve, right? They're showing Christopher Reeve. But why don't you get Brandon Routh? The guy they cast in Superman Returns because he looks like Christopher Reeve.
And actually, Brandon Routh actually showed up in the CW DC Infinite Crisis. There was this crossover.
Even Tom Welling shows up.
Even he also shows up. They could have
gotten Tom Welling.
They could have gotten his older self.
They could have gotten any of these people. They could have gotten Dean Cain. I don't know.
They had options, I guess.
They didn't get any of these people, and that's kind of a disappointment. And then the movie kind of the final scenes where Flash is letting go of his mom. That was good.
Yeah, that was really sad. I actually felt sad about it.
Very emotional. So it gets back when it gets back to that story. It's really good. They didn't really need all this multiverse stuff.
They didn't.
I feel like they could have just had two timelines, like original timeline, alternate timeline. You don't need all this Zod and multiverse, and I didn't need to see Christopher Reeve. I would have loved this movie.
I don't think no one in their right mind even ask for that, right? We never asked for that.
We just wanted a Flash movie.
Because we wanted, I actually wanted out of this film was a scene with Flash and one of his villains, and they have a bit of a discussion of like what you did was wrong.
And maybe the other Flash, that's fine. And but, Keaton, okay, fine. I'll give it Keaton. He has to be there as a sort of a mentor character.
Yeah.
It's fine. I mean, I feel like if they had gone smaller scale, you know, few timelines, keep it more focused on the Flashes, that would have been cool. And really, I think the third act really kind of
flopped really bad.
And then you know, everything is kind of sorted out. And then all the multiverse stuff is sorted out, untangled. I don't know how.
But the problem they run backwards, right? To like do that.
So the evil Flash from the future accidentally kills his younger self,
and he also dies.
And then Flash lets go of his mom. But you know, the weird thing I realized, we were talking about this when we were leaving the theater, was that we never see a resolution for Michael Keaton's Batman
we never
or Supergirl.
We never did. It's just like
they died, I guess, or those timelines disappeared. I don't know. It's kind of weird. But we do get like one final cool thing where so Flash is he changes one small thing. He doesn't change the death of his mom, but he does change a little thing to make his father kind of innocent, and he gets freed again. That's cool. But because he changed that one tiny little thing, something else changes. And
so when he gets out of the courthouse and after
Bruce's car appears, but the guy who gets out is not Michael Keaton. It's not Batfleck.
It's the one and only
George Clooney. No, I love that. I love that.
That was good.
Joke. That's a good joke. I did not expect that.
It was better than all the multiverse stuff that happened.
Because he's there. He's really George Clooney getting out of a car, so you can't go wrong with that.
And he's like, and this is where Barry drops
F-bomb.
And then Bruce. So George Clooney's Bruce, and he's like,
he's that guy. And that was really good. That was a good ending there. So I mean, like, see, I'm not mad at that because they actually got the actor. And he's there. You can clearly see it's him. It's not fake. You know, so if they had gotten Nicolas Cage like that, or Brandon Routh like that, actually standing there, not CGI, just standing there like that. I
just
would be like,
looking at this parallel universe open, just them staring out there would have been an interesting scene. Like just them just standing there.
And it feels like more like an AI generated thing than you know. Yeah, so that's kind of the movie. So we like. I think I like the first half of it really.
Same here.
After Zod shows up, it's kind of downhill.
It goes wonky from there.
The Flash moments are all right. You know, I mean, they kind of get back to it towards the end with the mother and all that. So.
But you know, one thing though, like I think when we were watching the Flash movie, I noticed so many moments when you could see the CGI faces of Barry Allen exchange from one another. Like I was like thinking, like if there was a drinking game, we could like basically play the Flash and we could make it into a drinking game where if people notice the CGI
we would not make it out of the theater. We would be so done. But the thing is, you know, it didn't bother me as much because I noticed it like once or twice. But I think most of the time the Flash that is speaking is the real Flash. So you're looking at him, you're not looking at the other one. So you don't notice the CGI. But if you do, you know, turn to the other one.
I think, I don't know, was it because I was wearing glasses or not? But like when you look at the whole scene, I guess you kind of notice those things.
And you know, like, see, they knew how to do these scenes in older movies, right?
Exactly.
Like movies where the same actor is playing multiple roles.
Exactly.
You do this using camera tricks and editing and clever cinematography.
They could have done that.
They could have done that. This looks like they just shot the scenes with a body double.
It felt really lazy.
And then in post they CGI'd the other double. And I feel like that feels so lazy. Like there's better ways.
Here's the thing that pissed me off about the CGI, right? So when we are sitting through the credits, there are heaps and heaps of like names that were in the VFX team.
Yeah.
And the one thing that really bothered me was like, I don't know what was the budget for this film.
It was about 250 million
right?
or something.
Like, so they had all these people, but they couldn't fix those issues, the CGI issues. Because even like in the Speed Force, like when they were like running and like when you can see all these events, future events happening, it felt like I was watching a video game cutscene from a PS4. Like it didn't feel like, because
even the Chrono Sphere moment,
it felt really odd.
It felt like a lot of CGI, and I'm like, why don't they get the real actors, shoot them, and then warp their faces to, you know, because they're obviously being warped in some way in that Chrono environment. Right?
In that sense, you can't really give an excuse to these people
because you can shoot them.
Yeah, I mean they have the money and it's Warner Brothers, right? It's not an A24 film.
Yeah, it's not an
indie film, right? So
it's not a mid-budget movie.
That's the thing that really pissed me off, right?
I think it not just you, it bothered a lot
of people.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm strangely forgiving of that, because all the other stuff is way worse for me. I'm like, I don't even mind the bad CGI.
No, because even the battle scenes, I think I was talking with you like, let's say when you have a heavy object like the Kryptonian ships that is like landing a few feet away from the land, I feel the shadow below should have been way more darker. Right. But in this I noticed it was very light. I didn't feel the intensity of like when a Kryptonian ship lands, right? There's like the wind impact. Blowing, the impact and all. So
but you know, but like I said, right? They get even the framing wrong.
Yes.
Right? They get the framing wrong. They're having, actually even Ben Affleck's Batman walking, he's having this action scene during the day in Gotham. And Michael Keaton walking around broad daylight. Like, it feels like fundamentally they didn't understand that Batman only looks cool at night. Really. And this is something Tim Burton understood. Chris Nolan understood. Matt Reeves obviously understands that. Even freaking Schumacher understood that.
Even Snyder
understood that. Like, you only, in those movies, you only see Batman at night, really. Right? And that makes sense, because he looks so damn cool at night. You put him in daylight, it doesn't really make sense anymore. You know, and they didn't get that. I feel like that shows that, I don't know, what is it? Do they not know? Or do they don't care? Which is it? And both are equally horrible to think of.
The thing with me with the execution of this whole film, it felt like, because we are in this era where everyone makes really cool movies out of like open source software like Blender and all, and I've seen like well done like CGI films and all, right, short films or whatever it is on YouTube, wherever it is, right? I felt like I cannot excuse these people for like screwing up the CGI because you had a lot of people as shown in the credits and you had a huge budget.
And this movie was in the making for so long. I mean, 10 years. This film was delayed for like 10 years. I remember like so many directors came and go. And, you know, the guys who did Spider-Verse, Lord and Miller were attached to it at one point.
Yes, I remember,
They were attached, but then they left.
They left,
so there was like a whole bunch of people that were trying to make this movie for a long time. And I think maybe that may have had an effect as well, because you have so many ideas coming in at different parts, and some of those ideas are staying, some are getting cut out, and it's like a mishmash of.
I would, if I would like summarize this film into like, I don't know, one sentence, this is like a YouTube fanfic film, but with a higher budget and poor execution. That's how I would put this, how I would like summarize this film. I'm sorry for being brutal, but thing is this, I mean, according to this DCU like extended universe, this is the last film, right?
It's not the last film. We're actually getting Aquaman. But we keep forgetting Aquaman 2 is coming.
But still, I mean, if you're going to reboot it, you have to do it. You have to do a proper send off.
You got a good. This could have been a good send off if they had kind of focused a bit more
on the
essential elements,
on the story.
Because it didn't need to be a send off for everything.
Yeah.
It could have been just a send-off for Barry and Bruce, maybe.
Yes, exactly. Of the Snyderverse. So I guess after discussing about the Flash, I guess the good, the bad, and even the ugly CGI. What would be your rating for this film?
Ooh, it's kind of tough, because I was really enjoying like the first half of it, like I said before, and the third act, and the third act kind of ruins it, and then Michael Keaton was a bit of a disappointment. So I don't know, man. I'm going like a 6 out of 10, maybe. Maybe. I mean, there are good things in it, genuinely good things in it. But 6 out of 10. But maybe I'm being too generous. I don't know. It might be a 5. Yeah. I mean, I'm just wondering, will I ever rewatch this? And that's kind of tough, I don't know, because it might be the kind of movie I will watch the first hour. Until they save Supergirl, and then just stop watching it.
I feel like this is the kind of film that would go on an airplane when you're traveling to another country,
it's the airplane movie, right? There's nothing else to watch. It's on.
You're
like
you're just sitting there.
This isn't the worst thing on the planet. And maybe it might not look so bad on the airplane
I feel
screen.
like it'll go on HBO, like on cable TV, and like while you're in a hotel room and you're just waiting for your food.
It's that kind of movie, right?
I'm just gonna watch something.
You're waiting for it. You're in the you're at the hospital. You're waiting for your appointment, and this thing is on the TV.
On the TV and thing.
And you're just
the Flash.
You just kind of look at it. You can't even hear the dialogue.
But it's going.
It's going. It's like you have your friends over at your place, and you're partying or playing board games or whatever. And this thing is on the TV, and you occasionally look at it.
But you know what? Since we're talking about that, I feel like even the effort they put into the film was kind of ignorant in that way. I have to say
that. Yeah,
I could arguably say. But
What's
after watching the film, I went on Letterboxd. I gave it 3.5 stars, and I wrote a lot. But again, I think 3.5 out of 5 is also kind of like a 6 out of 10. I don't know if you do the math.
That's like a 7, dude.
That's a 7? Okay, then I'm gonna make it 3. I'm gonna make it 3 or 2. I'm gonna make it 2. Like, you know what? I'm not really good with the math, but then it was kind of okay-ish, but not really that great. So
there are good things in it. The humor is great. Ezra Miller is great. And some people really do seem to love Michael Keaton, even though I had issues with it. Some people really do like Michael Keaton in the movie. And I think a lot of people do like the campy tone. And the Flash is supposed to be a campy, cheesy character. It's fine, but I feel like they kind of mess up too much to kind of...
So, can we say this is kind of the end of DCEU?
Sort of.
And until the Aquaman movie
comes out. And I know there's a Blue Beetle thing happening as well, but I think that's gonna be part of the new DC. It's gonna be really confusing. I mean, at least we know what's happening, but I feel like general audiences will not care. Because I have a feeling that in the past 10 years of DC films outside the Batman films have really kind of hurt the brand, I feel like, in a way, because they are very indecisive. They do one thing, then they walk back on it, they change it. There's too much drama happening, there's the Zack Snyder stuff happening, there's the Dwayne Johnson, Black Adam stuff happening. There's too much going on, they keep changing things. And I feel like general audiences have kind of tuned out of it.
I feel like the hype has kind of dissolved.
Because they don't know what they're doing, right? DC doesn't look like they know what they're doing. And I feel
now everything has now become content. So even I feel like the studios also treat this as content.
And I feel like
not films anymore.
We will talk about the DC universe on another episode. Because I feel like that's its own episode. There's so much to talk about. So we'll talk about that later. So that's it for the Flash. I think.
So yeah, thank you so much for listening in, and please don't forget to subscribe in wherever you're listening from, whether it's Google or Spotify.
And let us know what you thought of The Flash,
Yeah.
We're going to be posting this on social media. Let us know in the comments.
Comments
about...
Comments about... Again, like, at the end of the day, we are just expressing our opinion.
Yeah.
It's not the right opinion or the wrong opinion, it's just our opinion.
Yeah, you may have loved this movie. It's completely okay to love this movie.
Yeah.
I have no issue with that. So let us know, or maybe you hated it more than us. That's also possible.
So yeah, thank you so much for listening in, and stay tuned for next week.
Yep.
I'll see you all then. Bye-bye.
See you guys. Bye-bye.